Okay, so I just got home from work, and it turned out there was no paperwork for me to do because apparently there were no reports at all. So, quiet night. So I figure I'll go ahead and open this up. So I need to open this up, and this is, oftentimes when I do this show, I've got stuff that's just all piled up over there that I still need to get to, and I'll be like, oh, I bought this months ago, and just now getting around to opening it. Well, this is one that I literally bought years ago. I think this came out in like 2018, I think. And this is a Mattel, back from when Mattel had the DC license. This is a Mattel True Moves Justice League Superman, and this is the Superman Reborn costume, and uh, going to be opening this up today. This is going to be used for my custom project that I'm going to use this head on it. So that's going to this mullet Superman head, that's going to go onto this body, and I'm going to redo it so it has trunks. So that's going to be my 90s post Death of Superman figure. And there's actually two different versions of this, and one of them had like a hard plastic belt that was permanently attached to the figure. And this one, much like this other one, this is one that I customized into a Christopher Reeve Superman. Uh, Sculpted the belt, painted on the trunks, 3D printed him a new head. Uh, so this one has a rubber belt that is technically removable, although I don't believe it's intended to be. You see, they're showing off their 11 points of articulation. This is supposed to be like a very well articulated figure for like a cheap 12-inch figure. It's certainly better articulated than the Marvel Titan series or this Fortnite figure that I'm working on right now. But still not quite as good as say like a Marvel Legends or DC Multiverse or DC Universe Classics or anything like that. So the packaging for these are quite nice. It does have some of that DC sameness that we've seen over the years, where it's got their little flourishes that they like to use on various things, but it's a little more interesting. And then it has this kind of like dot matrix pattern that readers of old comic books will recognize. That's how a lot of comic book coloring was done. Lots of cool artwork on there showing off the posability of the figure. This one, they even kind of get him into that classic Kurt Swan Superman flying pose. Now, unfortunately, since this has been in my storage for such a long time, it looks like there's actually been some insects that have gotten in there, and like there's like looks like there's some spider webs and stuff, but I don't think anything is left living. But it's going to be kind of gross to deal with, so I'm going to kind of pull it open at the bottom here because you can see where it's already kind of torn open at the bottom, and there we see Superman's feet, and he's all kind of stuck in there because it's not like really a tray that's meant to come out. It's supposed to, you know, it's like I think actually part of the packaging. But oh, Superman, you got all these webs all over you. This guy is like the world's greatest superhero. He deserves a little more respect than that, doesn't he? And you can see how like, God, I hate these rubber tabs. Look at this. They actually like, because it's been in this package for so long, these rubber tabs have started to melt, and it actually sunk into his rubber belt. So I don't know if I would be able to get this out. And it seems like the belt's now kind of fused to the figure. Because like I said, it was originally supposed to be like a loose sort of belt, but oh, it looks like it's gonna break. So I'm trying to stretch it off, but it ain't having it. So the other one, which I opened up when it was fresh, I was able to get that belt off very easily, just kind of peel it off of there. But this one, it seems like it's almost going to break if I try to do that. So I'm going to wait until after I've talked about the figure for a little bit and, do it later on, because I am going to take this belt off instead of sculpting the belt like I did with this one, I sculpted it out of millet butt. I'm going to do something a little easier and a little more high tech. Since I have a 3D printer now, I figure I can 3D print them a belt. So I'll just print them out like a little strip, and then I have a file for a Superman belt buckle, so I can just print them out a little strip for the belt, and then the belt buckle, and then a couple of more little strips for the belt loops. So yeah, let me go grab it real quick. It's on the other side of my room. I wish I had thought to do that already. It wouldn't be an Alan Belk unboxing video if I didn't forget something on the other side of the room, would it? So just give me just a minute. I appreciate your patience. Okay, well, it was on the other side of my couch, but it's still something I had to kind of walk around to get to. I still have this big table set up from the Point Dread unboxing, and I keep having big things to unbox, like that Batwing. So I keep being like, no, I don't want to fold it up yet. I've still got more to do. So while I was over there, I noticed that I also had this Superman figure. So we can compare all three of these. This is Spin Master's 12-inch Superman. And I believe this is the only 12-inch Superman they've made so far, because they haven't made anything based on any movies or TV shows. They've just done them in the classic costume, which you would think they could at least do a black costume version of it, since, you know, in the three-quarter inch, they just kind of recolored this one in black and painted a beard on his face. So you would think they could do it with this one, but whatever. We'll compare and contrast those in a little bit. But yeah, here is, and I don't know which one of these Mattel produced first, but one of them, like I said, it has a hard plastic belt that's permanently part of the figure. And the other one has this rubber belt that you can kind of move around a little bit on the figure. And I'm going to wind up keeping the one with the plastic belt just as is, because it's going to be easier. So much for the Kryptonian super strength, huh? There must be some kryptonite nearby. Superman figure fell over. I'm going to try to stand him up again. So just stay standing up. I'm going to talk about you in a little bit. So yeah, these are all based off of the costume that was used in the Superman Reborn miniseries. He's still got this rubber tab sticking out of his armpit. Oh, I hate those things. I hate them even more, like with that one, where it just kind of melted and kind of messed up the figure's belt, which is all the more reason for me to use this one for my custom, since this belt's all messed up. So you can see, like, this is that kind of waxy nylon type of plastic that's on the lower legs. So they didn't really put any paint applications on there. They just molded it in the color they wanted the boots to be in. And when I did the Christopher Reeve figure, I didn't really mind that so much, because if you watch the movie, you'll see that his boots are a bit higher than Superman's boots are traditionally. They don't have that V cut out of the middle, right where the knee is, but you know, for me it was good enough. So yeah, I'm gonna take this head off, and I'm gonna put on that mullet head and do the belt and the trunks like I was talking about, and that'll be my 90s Superman. So getting his head off is a little bit of a production, though, since it is kind of hard plastic. So like, I think that one I wound up just having to kind of just yank it off, because using a hairdryer on it doesn't really help too much. And his cape's still kind of creased up from being in the box, but I think that'll come loose eventually. So these figures are pretty standard of the articulation of the Mattel 12-inch figures. You got the arm that rotates all the way around this way, and then they go up about this far. So not like incredibly far, but that's certainly far enough, I think. Elbow's got like a 90-degree angle to the bend, and it rotates all the way around. But when you rotate it to the back, it doesn't bend up all the way. But that's an unnatural angle anyway, so who cares? You got the wrists that rotate all the way around. Legs go up about 90 degrees, not quite 90 degrees, but close enough to it. Knees bend a little more than 90 degrees. And of course, he can do the splits, no problem. So there you go. That's some pretty impressive Kryptonian split skills, isn't it? So the head sculpt is really nice. I do think that the facial features on this actually do resemble Christopher Reeve somewhat. Like the head's a bit more sort of, I guess, narrow or longer than Christopher Reeve's was, but you can see in the facial features they probably had Christopher Reeve in the back of his mind as he was sculpting it, and or she, I don't know, could have been a woman. So, but the haircut is a bit shorter and a little more sort of, I guess, comic style than what you think of like the Christopher Reeve Superman haircut as being. That one was a little more of its time, a little more 1970s, and this one's a little more sort of high and tight, I guess. So he does have, I think, a bit of a higher hairline than Superman traditionally has. But this was, remember, based on the rebirth version of Superman, and he would have been the father of a 10-year-old boy. So they did want him to be like, he was kind of like dad Superman at this point. So he was definitely looking a little bit older. They were drawing him to be a little bit older in the comics. So it kind of makes sense they would make this head sculpt look a little bit older than traditionally what you have as a Superman head sculpt. Now, by the time Spin Master got a hold of the license, they were starting to get a little bit away from that. So you got a more youthful Superman head sculpt, and he's got the cape that's made out of that kind of shiny Christmas ribbon material that I don't like quite as much. But he does have an S on the back of his cape, which the Mattel version lacks. So, and also another thing I like about this one is it's got like a darker shade of blue, which I feel like is a little more appropriate to the Rebirth costume. And you can see that his Superman logo is more that sort of logo perfect emblem like you see on merchandise and stuff. They stretched it out a little bit, so I guess it looks a little wider on his pectoral muscles there. But this Superman, interestingly enough, has an emblem that I feel like looks more like how Kurt Swan drew Superman's emblem. Being an artist who drew Superman from like the 1950s all the way to the 1980s, and still kind of revisited the character sporadically between then and the time of his passing. So the guy I consider to be the greatest of all Superman artists. So it's not really 100% an accurate emblem to the Christopher Reeve version of the character, but I still felt like it was era appropriate anyway. Nowadays, since I got a 3D printer, I could probably print out a more accurate Christopher Reeve emblem. But I just really like the look of this emblem, how it has that Kurt Swan sort of look to it. So I kind of don't want to get rid of it. But just to give you an idea as to what that figure will look like when I get it all put together, I can take the Christopher Reeve head off and I can put the mullet head on there. So that's pretty much what that figure is going to look like when it's completed. So I think that looks pretty cool. So now, if you want to get a 12-inch Superman figure, like one of the cheapy ones, I would recommend looking into getting the Spin Master figure. Not necessarily because it's a better figure, although I do think that some of the plastics are like slightly higher quality, and you can see that they have the proper Superman boots on it, and that's good. But mainly because it's easier to get a hold of one of these, and like I could go to my Walmart right now and there's 2 of them on the shelf. So you might even have one at your local Walmart, or be able to pick one off of Amazon or eBay or Target or something like that. So he's a little bit easier to find nowadays than the Mattel figure because it's currently still being produced. But they're going to have a new 12-inch figure coming out from Spin Master soon. So this guy is going to start to fade away, and you won't see him that much more often. But the newer Spin Master figure I saw had blue boots. They just didn't paint in the shins at all. And I'm kind of thinking that would be a good way to do a custom of the first Rebirth costume where you had the red boots or the blue boots with the red trim, and you could probably just paint in the red trim yourself. Shouldn't be that hard, but it is interesting to see how Spin Master approached some things differently from Mattel. Like you can see how this emblem has a little bit on the belt buckle, has a little bit more of a raised quality, or on the Mattel one, it's a little more flat. So, and both of them actually kind of more conform to whatever their chest emblem is. So, I think the Mattel version might be slightly more accurate, but it probably depends on what artist you're looking at. So yeah, going back to the True Moves that I just unboxed, he does not want to stand up. I don't know what it is. Maybe his boots are warped or something. I'll have to see if I can straighten that out. But he just keeps wanting to lean back. Maybe if you want a Superman figure that can stand up, you want to just pay the extra money for the Mattel figure. But I want to say last time I looked at the Mattel figure on Amazon, it was selling for about $20. So you'd wind up paying about twice what you would pay for that Spin Master figure. But you might think it's worth it. Who knows? I do notice as I look at them when they're all lined up, also that the Spin Master figure is just slightly taller than the Mattel figure. Like at the shoulders, you can really tell. So, and his face sculpt is a little more sort of cartoony, I think, in addition to looking younger than the Mattel figure. Like the Mattel figure has more of a realistic look to it, and the Spin Master one you can see has more of a stylistic look. And that's not a bad thing, but somebody might have more of a preference for the realistic look, and somebody might have more of a preference for the more stylistic look. So I guess it just really depends on what you're looking for in your Superman figure as to which one you would like best. But I'll probably talk more about this in another video because I'm going to wind up doing an unboxing of one of these soon, since I'm going to get an extra one for another custom that right now I don't want to say too much about it. But yeah, it's obviously gonna be another Superman. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So that's pretty much it for this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm gonna go to sleep soon, and I'll probably watch some more Batman the Animated Series tomorrow. On Leather Wings is the episode that's up next, so that'll be the one I'm watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Tell me what you think about these figures and Superman in general. What do you think is the best of the 12-inch Superman figures that we've had so far? I'm kind of leaning towards this one, although I do think the Spin Master one is probably almost as good. But I think I like this one best if I had to pick one, even if his boots are a little wonky. I don't really mind that so much. Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.